Today's my favorite day. It's a national holiday. It's NBA trade deadline day. And we got trades. I mean, we didn't get the big fish. We didn't see Anthony Davis get moved, but we saw some smaller deals that can really shake things up. So in today's video, I'm giving my initial reactions, maybe doing some grades on the trades that went down. Not all of them. People said, Kenny, talk about every trade. I'm not talking about Shelvin Mack getting traded to Atlanta Hawks, other than this sentence right here. I mean, it's a very small impact on the league. I'm going to talk about the trades that kind of impact teams' future or impact their winning now mentality and things like that. But these are my initial reactions. You know, sometimes it takes time to really determine who won/lost some deals. But regardless, let's get into the first one, the one I got asked to talk about the most because it's dealing with my favorite team. So here are the details. Chicago's deal to acquire Washington's Otto Porter for Bobby Portis and Jabari Parker includes a 2023 second-round pick to the Wizards. So the Bulls picked up number 22 Otto Porter, and we sent out Bobby Portis and Jabari Parker. And people want me to react to this one because it's dealing with my team. And I am extremely okay with this deal, which means that I don't love it, but I definitely don't hate it. I've seen a lot of Bulls fans on Twitter saying how much they hate this deal, and I'm not in that boat. I think it's fine. Otto Porter's 25 years old. He's a decent NBA player. I saw people in my mentions saying that Otto Porter is a bum. Tripping. Otto Porter's not a bum. He's not a star, but he is overpaid. He's a bit overpaid. That's it. And people need to realize that Chicago's not a free agent destination. We have money to spend, so we got a guy that relatively fits our timeline. Remember, Zach LaVine is turning 24 this year, so having Otto Porter, who's 25, in the mix of our rebuild, it's not that bad, is it? We gave up Bobby Portis. We gave up Jabari Parker, who we've been trying to move forever. And people are upset that we gave up Bobby P. I love Bobby Portis for his time here in Chicago. One of my favorite Bulls over the past couple years. But he said he wanted to stay in Chicago long term. The front office threw him a contract worth $50 million. He said, no, I want more. So the Bulls are like, we don't want to pay you more once you're a free agent. So we're going to trade you now for a guy that can help us a little bit for the future. Now, the Bulls small forward position this year has, or for the past 2 years, have been trash. We had Paul Zipser, Chandler Hutchison, Justin Holiday. We just haven't really had a decent small forward over the course of our rebuild. And Otto Porter can be that. He's not a guy that's going to go out there and make and create shots for us, but he's one of the best spot-up three-point shooters in the league, and I think he's a fine defender as well. This trade kind of tells me that once we get to the NBA draft, if we don't have the number one pick, we're probably going to go point guard, which is Ja Morant, because we traded for a small forward. Right now, we have our future based on Laurie, Wendell, Zach, and now Otto Porter. Chris Dunn is fine, but I don't think he's a starting point guard of our future, and I don't think they do either, so we're probably going to pick up Ja Morant if we have the opportunity to, which I hope we still pick up Zion if we got the first pick, but if we got 2 through whatever, we're probably going to pick up Ja Morant. I am extremely okay with this deal from the Bulls standpoint, and there's so much more I want to say. I could probably make an entire video on this, but it ain't that significant. It's not like everybody that follow me is a Bulls fan. So if I'm grading this from the Bulls perspective, I'm giving it a C. And then from the Washington Wizards perspective, I'm giving it a little bit more, like a B+. They got off a lot of money. Otto Porter is super overpaid. Like I said, he's a good player, but he's also paid like a star. So they get off that money. They made a couple deals today that it kind of shows that they're going to take the step back. They still got Bradley Beal. They're still going to have John Wall in 12 months. And they're going to have a decent draft pick. So I like that deal a little bit better for them. I'll probably get theirs a B+, Bulls a C. Let's move on to the other trades that may matter a little bit more. So we got the trade dealing with the Kings. They made a couple deals today, but the most important one is them picking up Harrison Barnes, sending out Justin Jackson and Zach Randolph. Great deal. I kind of called this deal. In my podcast, which you should be watching / listening every Wednesday and every Sunday, we drop those. I'll put some links in the description for you to catch up if you haven't. I mentioned that the Kings are close to making the playoffs. They're at the 9th seed right now, and they need a wing player to help them get up over that edge. And they made a couple deals today, but this is the one that matters the most. Harrison Barnes is now part of the team. I like this trade a lot. And I think it works perfectly because the front offices around the league are starting to realize, like, my team, my city may not be a real free agent destination. So the Sacramento Kings had a lot of money for next free agency, but it's not like they're going to be in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. It's not like they're going to get Kawhi Leonard. So they use that money to get a player that can help them in Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes making like $25 million. He's got a player option worth about that too, which he'll probably pick up. But now we're looking at lineups like this when they close out games. De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, and Bogdanovich. those three together closing out games have been incredible. And now you have Harrison Barnes to run that 4 at the end of games and Willie Cauley-Stein. It just makes things a lot better. One of my major criticisms with that team is they didn't have a perimeter defender to guard the Kevin Durant's of the league. The bigger small forwards, they give you buckets. And I'm not saying Harrison Barnes is an elite defender, but he's definitely big enough to potentially hold his own against Kevin Durant, because Iman Shumpert, though he's having a career year, it's one like Iman Shumpert is really checking KD. KD will shoot right over him. But since Harrison Barnes is big enough to guard 3s and 4s, it just elevates their team a little bit, and it helps them get back into the playoffs. Now, if we look at the standings, this is how things are looking right now. The Clippers traded Tobias Harris. I made a video on that already, so you can watch that if you haven't. Meaning that they're probably going to take a step back. They also traded Avery Bradley today too. So they're probably going to take a step back. They're going to fall out of the playoffs, which means that we just got like a 3-team race for the final couple spots. The Lakers, the Kings, and the Mavericks. And the Kings picking up Harrison Barnes could actually elevate them to potentially make the playoffs for the first time in a long time. So I really like this trade for their standpoint. On the Dallas Mavericks end, they make this deal right now to free up some money to go out and get the center that it's rumored that they want in Nikola Vucevic in this free agency market. So it's a win-win on both sides. Both sides got something that they wanted, and that's really what I want in the NBA. I don't really like the super lopsided trades. I love when both teams come out thinking that they won or feeling like they won the trade. So this one, I don't know if I can really grade it. Time will tell. Now, the next 2 trades, I promise you, are because of Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris getting traded to Philly made the other Eastern Conference teams that are competing with the 76ers be like, yo, we got to match that. They just got significantly better. We got to try to do the same thing. So the Raps and the Bucks went out and made trades that they believe are going to really help their team. So let's talk about Toronto first. They're sending Jonas Valanciunas, DeLon Wright, and CJ Miles and a 2024 second-round pick to the Grizzlies for Marc Gasol. Now, honestly, on the surface, it seems like they just got Marc Gasol for what seems like not that much, right? Jonas Valanciunas has already missed the past couple months with, I'm pretty sure it was a hand injury, and it's just unfortunate timing. Let me show y'all what happened on Twitter. So they give up him, and in this picture, they also gave up DeLon Wright, and then later that day, they traded Greg Monroe as well. So all 3 of the players in this picture kind of foreshadowing that maybe they ain't coming back. But they get rid of Jonas Valanciunas again, who's missing time. DeLon Wright is like their 3rd string point guard. And then CJ Miles has not been good this season. So they just picked up Marc Gasol, former All-Star, former Defensive Player of the Year, for what seems like not that much. But this year, Marc Gasol hasn't been the same Marc Gasol that we've seen. I mean, starting off the season, he was on fire. But since then, he hasn't really been that great. So the real question is, how much better does Marc Gasol really make this team? Defensively, the Toronto Raptors are already very good, so getting Marc Gasol doesn't elevate that much. And his skill set, as far as the offensive side, he's definitely a better passer than Serge Ibaka, but they can make similar shots. I mean, I guess you can give it to Marc Gasol on the block a little bit more than you would Serge Ibaka, but this trade does elevate them, but the real question is how much, and that's why I'm saying these are my initial reactions. I'm going to have to see them play together. But on the Memphis side, I'm so surprised they didn't trade Marc Gasol for very future assets. I'm pretty sure Jonas Valanciunas is like 26 or something. DeLon Wright is also like 26, and they got CJ Miles, who's pretty old. They didn't get any future first-round picks. They got 1 second from 2024. It's just very weird for them to trade one of their franchise players, even though he is late in his career, for something that probably won't even be on the team in a few years. It's just very weird to me, but regardless, Toronto makes a deal that they believe is going to help them win the East. And then the next one is from the Bucks. Now, they traded for Nico Mirotic. They traded Jason Smith and Stanley Johnson. And if you remember yesterday's video when I talked about the Tobias Harris trade, I said the Milwaukee Bucks, they're going to have to make a big-time deal in order to match that. And what did they do? It's just so crazy to me that they ended up with Nico Mirotic giving them Jason Smith and Stanley Johnson. Jason Smith, nothing. Stanley Johnson, sure, he may have a little promising future, and it's just weird, or it's just a great job by their general manager for flipping those 2 players for a guy like Nico Mirotic, who's having a career year when he can stay healthy. That's a big caveat. Nico has been very injury prone this season, but this fits their style of basketball. They're going to shoot a lot of threes, and Nico Mirotic is a knockdown 3-point shooter. I think it's a match made in heaven. I'm going to have to drive up to Milwaukee to see my boy Nico play because, I mean, I loved him here when he was in Chicago. I know there are a lot of Bulls fans that didn't love him, but I loved him. I just like this deal a lot. I'm giving this one an A+ from the Bucks. I mean, the Pelicans, I think they got later they announced that they got like a second in exchange. I mean, this is them kind of punting. They didn't get rid of Anthony Davis, but they got rid of a lot of other things that would help him win. So this may be them taking a step back, even though they still have Drew Holiday. They still have Julius Randle. It's just kind of maybe a bit baffling from the Pelicans' perspective now that I'm thinking about it. But the Bucks just got a lot better. And the last trade is the 76ers once again. We talked about them yesterday. Got to talk about them again because they traded for Jonathan Simmons. You're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Jonathan Simmons is okay. You know, he's having a bad year, but he's a very decent role player. But what did they give up? Former first overall pick Markelle Fultz. Traded. Just that quick. I think somebody on Twitter said it was 20 months. 20 months since they traded to get him. You remember they traded that third overall pick that turned out to be Jason Tatum and one other pick to trade up to get Markelle. And it's just 20 months later, he's out the door. And it's just weird to me. They also got a first round pick from OKC. That's like the 2020 pick for them or something like that. But regardless, it's very weird to me that Markelle Fultz's trade value was that low, that they got just a decent role player, but not a very good role player back in just a future first that's going to be like late in the lottery. Or not late in the lottery, but late in the first round. It just shows you how far Markelle has come, or Markelle has fallen. But I like this from the Orlando Magic standpoint. Without a doubt, they take a flyer on Kel because we know that deep down, there's a great NBA player down there. They just got to get it to the surface. We got to get him healthy. We're talking about a player that in 2 seasons has only played 33 games. We got to get him healthy. And if we could get him healthy, he could potentially be the point guard of our future. The Orlando Magic haven't really had a real good point guard since Penny Hardaway. I mean, you could count Jameer Nelson, who was an all-star. Actually, we will count Jameer Nelson because he led them to he was the starting point guard on a team that went to the championship. So no disrespect to Jameer. But they really just don't have the best track record when it comes to their point guard position. So here's them trying to take a chance on Markelle because the risk is low. The reward is high. If Markelle comes out and he turns out to be just a starter quality point guard, good trade. And if he turns out to be nothing, don't matter. You gave up Jonathan Simmons in a first round pick that's going to be in the 20s. So I like this deal from the Orlando Magic standpoint. Again, Jonathan Simmons will be okay, I'm pretty sure, with the 76ers, though he has been struggling this year. Those are like the bigger trades, the trades that matter. We have the Eastern Conference getting blown up, man. So many of the teams made moves. I'm surprised that the Boston Celtics didn't make a move. I mean, there are rumors right now that they may try to sign Enes Kanter. Maybe it'll be done when this video comes out, but there's rumor that they're going to sign Enes Kanter. I don't know how much better Enes Kanter makes you. I mean, I guess he's better than Aaron Baines. Yeah, he's better than Aaron Baines. So that's a plus as your backup center. Actually, Enes Kanter's not terrible. All right, let's be real. Enes Kanter's not terrible. He rarely plays in New York because they try to lose. And Enes Kanter, he can sometimes give you like 20 nights. Sometimes. But that's it. Bucks, Raptors, 76ers all make big deals to improve their team this year. And then the Celtics, maybe not completely yet, but on the buyout market. Let me know in the comment section below which trades you think impacted their team the most. The Eastern Conference is wide open with 4 different teams. So in the comments, I would love to see who you think is going to win the East. This is McKinney. Shout out to my boy, number 22, Otto Porter. Welcome to Chicago.